What a beautiful piece of music that is. And a real treat for all of us to have everyone who participated in that track on our live stream tonight. So I'd like to welcome Paul Richards from the California Guitar Trio, Bert Lams, and Hideo Moriya, all the way from Japan. Thank you for joining us, all three of you. And we have a special guest with us tonight, Tony Levin. Tony, thank you so much for joining us as well. And from our core team, we've got Kathy Starkey. And before we begin, I just want to encourage you to ask some questions in the chat. We'd love to make this an active participatory discussion. It's so great that we already have about 200 people on the stream. So thanks for giving us some time on your Friday night. I'd love it if you hit the subscribe button and feel free to leave a comment. And just so you know, this video will be available after the stream is over at the same URL. So YouTube just captures the live stream, processes it, and then you get to watch it again later or share it with your friends. So we really appreciate that. And let's begin by just saying thank you to the California Guitar Trio for 30 years of great music. I'm going to clap.
Yay! Me too. We made it.
Pretty amazing years.
We survived.
Yes, absolutely. You more than survived. You know, let's talk about what it means to thrive as an acoustic guitar trio playing weirdly tuned instruments and music that goes off the beaten path. So who wants to start?
Well, I can start out by saying thanks for having us, and thanks to Tony for joining us. And back when the three of us met up in Los Angeles, at that time it was called the California Project, and we had no idea at that time that it would be something that could last for 30 years. And at that, it was something very special, and we knew that the music that we were creating was something different and unusual. And when we were doing shows, even in our first year, we felt like we had something unique to offer. And for that first year together, we were based in Bert's house in Hollywood area, and we were pretty much on our own. The three of us met on the Robert Fripp Guitar Craft courses, but after we formed the trio and met at Bert's place, we were just playing in small coffee shops and really playing any kind of gigs that we could. And then after a year, we recorded our first album, and we sent it to Robert Fripp, who was just starting his own record label. And Robert liked the album and wanted it to be one of the first releases on his Discipline Global Mobile record label. And for the first few years after that, Robert was a big help to us. He started inviting us on various tours. We toured with David Sylvian as an opening act. We toured with Robert when he was doing Soundscapes, and if you look at our tour schedule for those from 91 through 95 and 96, it was a lot of shows we did with Robert. Then of course in 95 and 96 we toured with King Crimson, and that's when we met Tony and became friends with Tony.
Awesome.
The rest is mystery.
Yeah. So Paul, you've also mentioned that Tony has worked with you on, I believe it was every single CGT album, right?
Not the early ones, but after I think we started, the first project we did was around 2000. We did an album. Well, we released a live album with Tony that was called Rocks the West, and that was around 2000. Mm-hmm. Then soon after that, we went to a studio near where Tony was living at that time. It was called the Make Believe Ballroom, and we recorded an album that Tony was the producer on the album and also played on it. And let's see, that was at Tom Mark's studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt, Paul, hopefully
Yeah.
for the last time. In the 90s, when the California Guitar Trio opened for King Crimson, for over 100 shows for King Crimson, and years, I don't know, a year or two later, at some point, when the guys called me and asked if I'd like to do a couple, maybe just a show or two. It wasn't like a big plan, but I thought, well, I know all the material. I've been listening to it for a long time, and I love it. And I hear a place for the bass, not the traditional place for the bass, because the low end coming out of the California Guitar Trio, as everybody knows who has heard it, is not only the right notes and great notes, but huge and pat. And they didn't know that, but in a higher melodic way, I felt like I can fit in. So it was a great pleasure. First, a few shows, I don't remember exactly, but it seemed like maybe even one or two shows. And then later some tours. And it's been a wonderful, inspiring, and challenging experience in my musical life to have a chance to play with the trio.
That's amazing. And I think that speaks volumes because Robert just mentioned in his one of his recent videos with Toya that you, Tony, have been one of the musicians in his life that's constantly pushed him forward. So for you to say that about the California Guitar Trio, I think is a huge compliment.
Well, I think it's also similar for us. You know, when, as I mentioned, you know, the three of us met studying guitar with Robert, and we learned a lot about, you know, being very disciplined and very precise. But it was when we started playing with Tony that I felt like I was learning to play in a different way, more listening and being open, and not everything so strict. That really opened things up for us in a new way that we hadn't experienced before, where before it was always very metronomic and very precise. So thank you,
You
Tony.
were trying to, in a nice way, say that I wasn't right on the beat. Well, I knew that, and Robert knew that too.
Well, it didn't matter. Whatever you are doing has been great.
Yeah, but I'd like to add something too. Those first 2 years that we played together were really our formative years with the trio, and we zoomed in on just the three of us, and after that we started playing a lot with guest musicians. We played with I remember Jarrett, the percussion player, and first, of course, we played with Robert, and then with Tony and Jarrett and other players
Pat
along the road.
Pat
Mastelado, of course, yes, and all these different influences really made us kind of grow in a huge way all of a sudden.
And we would be remiss if we didn't thank the fans as well. I mean, it's not just the California Guitar Trio, but we've got people in the chat. I asked who here saw the California Guitar Trio more than 25 years ago, and several people have. In fact, Spike Spikerson said, it's only 30 years. I've been a fan since the early 60s. But, you know, we've got Tony Jabal on, who saw you guys when you were getting started. Eric Dolan saw you as part of the League of Crafty Guitarists. Holly H. saw you exactly 25 years ago. We've got a whole bunch of people in the chat saying 26 years ago, 25 years ago, in 2001. So, you know, as much as I love the California Guitar Trio, every time I've been to a CGT show, I've loved how respectful and grateful the audience is. It's not a typical audience for a show. And I think you guys have cultivated that not only with your music, but with your hearts. I'd love to hear some reflection on that. Like, how do you believe you've attracted this type of an audience?
Well, I want to hear what Bert and Hideo have to say about this. But, you know, for me, back in the beginning, when we were touring with Robert, when he's on tour and doing concerts, if anybody has tried to talk to him, knows that he's not the most outgoing person at concerts. And in fact, I've even seen him run away from people that have tried to talk to him. So in our days with the League of Crafty Guitarists, everything was all very formal. And then when we started doing our own shows, of course, we were a bit more relaxed, you know, with that. And instead of running away from the people, they became our friends, and year after year we're seeing a lot of the same people, and then when we did the tour with King Crimson, we gained so many new fans, and a lot of the people who still are supporting us today are the people who first saw us with King Crimson. And Robert's funny. He never wanted to talk to the people himself, but he was the one who encouraged us to go out after our set and after the concert and sign CDs and meet the people. So that was him really who it started that for us, and we've been doing it ever since then. And back, it seems like forever since we've been able to do live shows. Back so long ago, a year ago, in these latest concerts, we have people coming up to us after the shows and saying, I have seen you guys 20 times. I have seen you guys 30 times. And even people that are 30 and 40 and more times. And many of them have become friends, and we're always happy to see them. So thanks to all the people who have been coming to see all our friends and fans. Thank you so much.
Well, giving voice to one of the super fans, I was in the audience for the King Crimson reunion show. Was that 91 or 95? But you guys took such command of the room with just the first few notes. That's why people love you. You command the room and the respect. And then also coming out after the show and signing CDs from that first night. So
nice, thank you.
Happy
Awesome, and here you are with us now today.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So I've been married 17 years, and I'm not sure I've spent as much time with my wife as you three have spent together. So I'm curious, what have been some of the human lessons you've learned with each other as musicians, as friends? This is a 30-year relationship. Well, probably, 35 years or something like that now, 33. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear your takes on the relationships and how they've evolved over the years. Hideo, would you mind starting that?
Wow, it's me?
Yeah, you.
Okay. Well, I think we getting know each other very well, and we mostly talk about what the music or how to rehearse and the play, other than the personal life, I think. And that's that's a key, I think. But as a Japanese, I think a lot of help from Paul and Bud, since we are doing a lot of tour in the USA. So
that's great. Bert, can you?
Yeah. Well, I have to start with the League, because Robert took us on the road with the League of Crafty Guitarists, first of all, and we learned a lot from that, working in a large group and spending time together in buses and hotels and on the road, a lot of time on the road. And that was, for me at least, it was a big thing. And then when we started with the trio, these things kind of came back, because we would find ourselves in a car, huddled all together in a car with our rack on the top, and driving 3 days to Seattle for one gig, and then driving 3 days back, and leaving the car running with the keys and all that kind of stuff. So we spent a lot of time in the first years all together. We had no money. We didn't make any money. We pretty much paid to play everything. Paul and Hideo flew from Japan to Los Angeles for several years, and we spent several months together in LA playing little coffee shops, old folks' homes, homes for the mentally disabled, anywhere where we could play. Family. Paul and Hideo, the first year, they stayed just most of the time in a back room where the maid used to sleep from Wendy, the family. So they had a little room in the back, and they slept there for 2 months. But for them, it was okay, because they had we had a little bit of that experience with the League of Crafty Guitarists. Robert made it was not easy to stay in a house in England, for instance, too, with 20, 30 people in the same room, or almost in the same room, or in the same house, and living together. And the first maybe 5 or 6 years together, we also shared hotel rooms all the time. So we were day and night pretty much together. And from there on, we sort of learned to respect each other's space, because 3 people is a strange dynamic. You have 2 people, it's okay, but 3 people, you always have kind of 2 against 1. There's this always fluctuating dynamic of 2 2 against 1, and it moves around, and it's fine, and there's irritation, and we get irritated at each other, but there was never any fights or anything like that. It's mostly just a natural thing, and we recognize that as a natural thing, how that works. And over the years, then we became more we needed a little more privacy too. I mean, after a few years, not since that long, we've decided to just get our own hotel rooms and give each other some space,
Yeah, well, I remember the first tour we did with Tony. I think we were still in the sharing room phase.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I think it was Tony that said, I'm okay with doing this kind of touring, but it would be good to at least have my own room.
And you guys saw that after that tour. You said, we think we could get our own rooms too.
Yes.
That I opened you up to that concept.
Yes.
That was a big positive influence. We getting our own hotel rooms, and then after that we couldn't turn back. Then it was a done deal. But that I think the 2 of the main things that has kept us together for 30 years. Firstly, obviously the music. Has been so important, and then the other part is being able to get along with the 3 of us, and then also with Tony and other friends that we've had that play with us. And so I think we, like as Bert said, we never had any big fights or arguments. There was never any moment where any of us were saying, "I'm quitting the band" or anything like that. So it's always been even with disagreements or things we didn't get along about, we've always found a way to get past it and move forward, and that's why I think that we're still here.
Well, it's too bad you never fought, because I have about 20 minutes of questions, digging up dirt on each other. So, not sure what else we're supposed to talk about. But someone did ask in the chat if you had any of those Spinal Tap moments. Where's the stage, or late for the show? Anything like that ever happened to you?
Oh, every day. I think Bert, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna tell the story of Santa Barbara when we were together. I think it was still the first year we played, and we did all the little coffee shops and anywhere we could play, and Hideo flew all the way from Japan, and we were going to end in Santa Barbara. There was a house, a lady in the fancy house, and she had a house party outside, and it was a mariachi band playing after us, I remember. And at this bar, that was the last concert, and then Hideo would fly home. And there was this other lady, she was there. She had a green Rolls Royce and her own driver, and she came up to us and she said, "I would love you guys to play for me and my party too. It's next week, or something." It was like 8 days later, and Hideo had to fly home, so we didn't get many gigs in those days. So we said Hideo considered flying, changing his airline. We paid the fee for the airline change. And Hideo stayed another week, and then we went up to this house in Santa Barbara, in Malibu, in the Malibu Hills. And we arrived there, and we arrived at this beautiful house with a lot of glass and light. And we showed up there. We pulled up at the door. We went to the front door, and we looked inside. And inside, there was no people. There was only animals in there. There was birds and cats and dogs, and I just remember a lot of birds flying around there.
All different kind of animals.
Yes, yeah. And then she showed up. She came driving from the back with her driver, and we saw a trailer back there. And then we realized that she lived in the trailer, and she took care of the animals, stray animals that she picked up and put them in her house. And I remember our concert was quite a downer because we were in the backyard and we were surrounded by lots of, I remember dog poop everywhere. And we had maybe 5 or 6 people there and little tables. It was very primitive. I remember the food was white, like, what is it, the white...
Wonder bread.
Wonder bread. I remember there was Wonder bread and peanut butter and stuff like that. And so I remember I vividly remember that concert. But we had lots of moments like that. Also in Italy, we have lots of stories of playing concerts in Italy in the first couple of years.
I had one.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. When we toured with Tony in Paris, and then we went to Italy. Anyway, I flew from Japan to Paris, and then we did a small club, some sound check. And that was a very hot day, and we walked from the hotel to the venue. It's kind of straight shot in Paris. And I went back to the hotel and took a shower because it's so hot and I was sweating. Then I started walking to the venue, and I lost completely. And I think you guys remember, like I finally took a taxi, and taxi guy said, just there. But I couldn't find it, and maybe 5 minutes before the show, I show up. Isn't it?
All sweaty again. You were all sweaty.
I thought I was gonna miss that show. Anyway.
Wasn't there also a show in Mexico City where it was extremely hot and Bert's flight was delayed and he wasn't there for the
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
similar?
Yeah, we had to play a show without Bert. The only concert we ever did without Bert, but it was just Tony and Hideo and I.
It was unbearably hot too.
It was filmed for some TV performance.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Tony,
And
do
they
you have any
interviewed us.
stories? Oh, go
They
ahead.
interviewed us and they said, I remember this, what do you think of Mexican mariachi music? And we didn't know what to say. It was silence. So kind of.
I remember Pat said that he heard Mexican music coming from the kitchen.
Yeah.
Tony,
Well,
do you have
and
any memorable stories to share?
Sorry, who?
Tony, do you have any memorable stories to share?
No. The guys are lots of Spinal Tap moments for sure.
Bert, it sounded like you were going to chime in another.
Well, there was this time we opened for King Crimson, and we found out a couple of days beforehand we were in Europe, and we had to play was it in Poland? And Hideo needed some kind of special visa or something because some politic thing that happened a few days earlier. And Paul and I went by train to, was it Poland? I think it was Poland.
Warsaw.
And, Warsaw. Yeah. And a friend of ours, Martin Schutke in Germany, gave Hideo a ride, and we found out that the ride was like 13 hours or something, partly over dirt roads, and also Hideo arrived minutes before the concert. And Robert was laughing, right? I remember.
Robert had made Hideo a cafe from the Crimson Ballet, from Tony's cappuccino machine, and Hideo walked in. Robert handed him the coffee, and we went on stage.
That's great. That's really funny. What did you guys ever have? Day jobs, or were you always? Was music the thing the whole time?
Well, yeah, I have a long list.
Oh yeah, I didn't know.
Too. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll just give the short. The one of the latest things I did before I went full time with CGT was I was a substitute teacher at the high school district in Salt Lake City, and so I did that in between tours, and then before that, I worked at a guitar shop for many years called Guitar City. And then before that, I had many very weird jobs.
This is the opportunity to share that, Paul.
The weirdest one was what I did was I worked at the Salt Lakes Gun Club, and I worked in a concrete bunker putting those clay pigeons on the machine that shoots the clay pigeons out. And on one occasion, the clay pigeons were breaking, and the drunk guys with their shotguns, they kept breaking. And then I started hearing them shooting at my bunker.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the and
That's the decision that made you go full time with
yeah.
Bert, what about
Yeah.
you?
Well, just before the trio, I was teaching full-time classical guitar in Brussels, and then I moved to America, and we started off with the trio. And I would sometimes do some work when we had long breaks. I remember when we lived in Santa Fe, I would do some outdoor work in the community where I lived. And in England, I used to work on a farm. So when we had 2 or 3 months break, we had, the bills kept coming in. So I had to do something, to pay the bills. Right now, I'm working part-time in mornings. Since September, I'm working at a school, a preschool, a little preschool. I am the cleaning czar. That's my position. So I am mainly sanitizing the playground and helping out here and there with the teachers, whatever they need. The little kids call me Burp, because the older ones call me Mr. Burp, and they always thank me. And it's very nice to be there in the mornings. Plus, I do have a little time to practice in there too. It's not like I have to work all the time. I'm on standby, and when they need me, they call me. And in the afternoons, I'm teaching. I'm teaching guitar. I have about 16 students now, and it's steadily growing, but I don't really want it to grow much more. I think 16 students is a good number. It's enough. It gives me something to do, and I really enjoy sharing my experience with a lot of new people, a lot of beginners. I love working with beginners, people that have never played guitar before. So yeah.
Well, that's a great segue. Hideo, if you have an answer too, we'd love to hear it. Otherwise, we'll move on to what's going on today.
Well, I don't have a job like a Paul or Bart. But before went to the guitar craft early days, maybe I did a little bit of the part-time job for the construction work. That's all.
Excellent. So we have some photos to share of the early days. I need to just share my screen so you guys can see it first, and then I will share it for the stream. One moment, please. All right. Okay, we should have some sound now. I apologize for people on the stream. Can we go back to the first photo? My fault on that one. Okay, so this is the first photo from 1991, right?
Okay. Yep. Should I tell about that photo?
Yes,
again?
absolutely.
Okay.
No one heard
so
except
the-
for me,
oh,
which was
okay.
great.
Oh,
but-
okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that photo is our very first photo shoot ever in Salt Lake City in 1991 on our first road trip from Los Angeles to Salt Lake. And a friend of mine that I met, Michael Schoenfeld, I met him at the guitar shop, did this photo session. And you can see that with Bert with lots of hair, and Hideo still looks the same.
Wonderful. Bert, any comebacks?
What do you mean, hair comebacks?
No. You gonna hit back at Paul? You gonna just lay there with that? All right, photo number 2. Tell us what's happening in this one.
This is a photo from the Palais Montcalm in Quebec City, in Quebec, and we have a wonderful history in Quebec City, and many concerts with Tony in Quebec City. And this is from, I think, maybe 4 years ago at the Palais Montcalm, and I think starting around 2001 or 2002, there's a guy named Jean Bouchain that was one of the promoters for the Summer Quebec Festival, started inviting us, and we first started out playing some of the smaller venues, and then little by little we graduated to bigger shows. I think one of the first bigger shows we did was opening for John McLaughlin in an outdoor stage, and then the biggest show we did was I think it was on the Plains of Abraham, and we were opening for Rick Wakeman, who did a show, the Journey to the Center of the Earth concert, and this trio opened, and we had Tony with us, and we were able to get John Anderson and Rick Wakeman to join us on stage for the Heart of the Sunrise performance, and I think we had about 50,000 people there for that concert.
And
Wow.
also, if I can interrupt, I remember them singing along with Bohemian Rhapsody, which you play as an instrumental, and it was pretty amazing hearing 50,000 people singing that song.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a great story. John S. asks, what became of the piece the CGT was working on with John Anderson?
John got really sick. That was around the time when he got sick and almost died. And a lot of the projects he was working on at that time got put on hold, and that one got put on indefinite hold. I remained in touch a little bit with him, but we've never been able to resume that work since then.
We actually went to John's house and stayed the night in his guest house and practiced a little bit with him. I had all these ideas for a new piece, a musical project, and we worked a little bit on it with him, but then things kind of fell apart after that.
All right, let's look at photo number 3 here. What's going on here?
Do you recognize that, Tony, that place?
No,
So
I don't.
this is Keegan Ales, which
Oh.
is a brewery in the Kingston near the where Tony lives, and
Down the street from me.
yeah, yep. So we played at this venue a few times, and it's a wonderful little tiny funky weird, it's a brewery, and we played there I think maybe 4 or 5 times with Tony.
What a special little gig that must have been. What a treat for the people of Kingston.
Agreed. Very special brewery too. And the stage that I see we were on is not the stage anymore. Now that's part of the brewery. That's where the barrels of beer are, and the stage has moved to another section, but it's still a vibrant venue in Kingston.
Well, I hope it's because they're growing. I know a lot of breweries are growing very rapidly.
Yes, that's true.
Awesome.
Correct.
All right, and Tony, you took this next photo.
I did.
It's a beautiful photo, wonderful depth of field, and I just love the architecture of this photo with Hideo in the background. And can you tell us how you got this shot and when?
Sure. The trio was again opening for King Crimson. King Crimson in 2019, I think it was, hadn't had an opening act in many years. I can't remember. Maybe in 20 years. Maybe the guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And Robert Fripp invited the trio to open for one show for our Los Angeles show. Was it the Greek Theater, maybe? And,
yes, Greek Theater.
Of course, I was in the wings taking pictures the way I always am when I'm not playing with the trio. And I got lucky with that one, which let me add that photo is in my new photo book that I've just released called Images from a Life on the Road. So I'm pretty familiar with that picture.
Wonderful. Anything to share from the CGT?
Well, of course, it was a great honor to be one of the only bands who's gotten to open for King Crimson. And now that I live in Los Angeles, it was super fun to be able to play for 6,000 people in my hometown. So,
wow. That's great. Okay, this one. When and where was this?
that is also from the Palais Montcalm.
Okay, it looked like the same outfits, but you never know. People tour with touring clothes.
Yeah, Palais Montcalm.
Who took this photo?
I think it was our friend Patrick Gaumont, who might even be listening.
He is on the stream.
On this call.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, Patrick, did you take this picture?
Yeah, Patrick, let us know in the stream.
Or your brother, Francois. It's either Patrick or Francois.
Okay. Speaking of people in the stream, a woman named Lisa said, where does she need to set up the merch table? And apparently this is a joke that you would understand.
Bert is the one who always coordinates with the people who help set up the merch. And I'm guessing Lisa has helped sell our merch for us.
Lisa Bauer. All right, so...
Yes, she did many times. Thank you, Lisa. And she made T-shirts for us.
Oh, very cool. Thank you, Lisa. And this is a rare shot of the California Guitar Trio without any makeup. And and with Paul playing electric and Hideo playing bass. What is this you're playing, Bert?
I don't. That was just a little guitar that somebody brought, a friend of Pat's who collects guitars.
It looks like a tenor
guitar. This was
guitar.
in Austin. Yeah. I played tenor guitar on that recording with CG3+2, and that was during the recording sessions of CG3+2 with Tony and Pat in Austin, Texas.
Yeah. So this photo, Tony took this photo outside of the studio in Austin. And our friend Bruce gave us those glasses, this is during the recording of the CG3+2 album.
What year was that?
I still have mine. I still have my sunglasses. I have not found the right situation to wear them ever since then. They're quite a statement, those sunglasses.
Yeah, this was in 2001, maybe.
Hideo,
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go for it.
I think so. Yes, 2001. And did we play some improvisation with those instruments, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's on there's a tune called Swampy Space on that album, and we're playing those instruments.
Yes.
Cool. All right, and this is our final image. This is a special one because of Hideo's pants. Can you talk about this one? When and where was it?
So this is back in 1995, at opening for King Crimson at the Wiltern Theater, and this photo was taken by a famous photographer who I will remember his name, the Wiltern Theater, 95. And this is the image that we also used to go along with the 1995 video that we just released opening for King Crimson.
Yeah, tell us about this video. I just watched it the other night. It's wonderful. And you just released it as part of your 30th anniversary. So why'd you do that? And why'd it take so long?
Well, with all this extra time on our hands, we have been starting to go through our archives and we have boxes and boxes of recordings and videos that we've collected over the past 30 years. And now we're going through and finding some of the best ones. And we did a concert around the same time period of this photo. We played in Japan at it was in a concert hall in Tokyo. What's the name of the concert hall, Japan, Hideo?
Nakano Sun Plaza
Yeah, and
in Tokyo.
and the King Crimson was the King Crimson guys were just kind enough. I think it was Tim Hook, the road manager at that time, had arranged for the camera crew to film our set as well, and so they filmed our set, and they gave us these VHS tapes of the set, and they've just been sitting in boxes waiting for the right time to be released. And so a few months ago I converted them over and sent it to Fabio Mattino, who remastered it and edited it for us together, and we just released it a few weeks ago, and we've been getting lots of great feedback. I think it's one of our best live concert videos.
Yeah, we were really hot on that concert. I think we had been on the road for 7 weeks first in Europe on our own, then with King Crimson. Then we had like a week break, and then we went 5 weeks in America. And then after that, another 2 or 3 weeks break, we went straight after, we went to Japan. So we played every night, and you can really tell when you listen to this that it seems like every note is spot on. There's maybe a few little things here and there, but the energy is quite amazing on this concert.
I have to admit and agree that as I was listening, I was like, whoa, this is fast. And I was a little worried, like, oh, are they going to stumble? But no, you guys nailed it. It was it was a great performance. I'm really grateful that you were able to import it and edit it and release it for free. So anyone watching, first of all, the CGT YouTube channel only has like 400 subscribers, and that should be 4,000 at least. So let's do what we can to 10x that subscription count here on the stream. If you're not already subscribed to the California Guitar Trio channel, go watch that video and hit the subscribe button. And if you hit like as well, that tells the YouTube algorithm to promote it, that it's a good, popular video that people will want to watch. So
Great, thank
all
you.
of that is very good for the band. So if you're on the stream, and we have a couple hundred people now, close to 300, and you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's really excellent. All right, so that's something that you just recently released, and you've also released. You're releasing a new concert today on Bandcamp. So can you talk about what you've released and what people should go check out?
Yes. So in going through some of our older shows, we've been finding some really good stuff. And the concert we released today was recorded in 2011, and it was recorded at the Freight and Salvage, which is an interesting venue in Berkeley, California. They used to be actually in a warehouse that was a Freight and Salvage warehouse, and then I guess it was maybe, 12 years ago, they moved from that warehouse into a really nice, more like a performing arts space. And this was one of the first shows we did in the newer venue. And Patricia Fripp was there in the selling our CDs for us after the show. And the set for that concert is pretty unique, and it includes some music that we haven't played in a live show for a long time. So I think this is going to be part of an ongoing thing that we'll continue to go through and find really great live recordings. And you were suggesting even to do maybe a Patreon or something. We'll figure that out at some point. What's the best way? For now, we'll do the Bandcamp releases, and maybe eventually, if it becomes more like a regular thing, we may switch over to a Patreon kind of a thing.
That would be really exciting. We do have Patricia here in the chat. So, hi, Patricia. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, Patricia. Thank you for selling our CDs and introducing us.
Introducing us during the show. The big introduction, yes.
yeah, she's been a big help. You know, Robert has always been a mentor for us for our guitar playing, and Patricia has become a very dear friend of ours and supported us selling our CDs, helped me speak more, helping with my speeches to the audience, and she's been an invaluable friend to us. So thank you.
She is a powerhouse for sure. And anyone who hasn't checked out her website or her YouTube videos, just if you are interested in becoming better at communication, go check out her videos. She's got a lot of great stuff at fripp.com. And she's also got a course. I think it's still available. I checked a few months ago, but she's selling access to presentations that she and Robert gave at a leadership conference or a communication conference. Patricia, you can clarify in the chat, but really worthwhile resources.
If you were at any of those first concerts that we did in the early 90s, you would notice that we hardly spoke at all to the audience. And it was with Patricia's encouragement and help that we became more relaxed and more communicative with the audience during the show. So that was a big influence that she had on us.
So I'm assuming the concert that just recently was released on your YouTube channel, that's unedited. And I don't mean like for mistakes or something. I mean like there's no talking, and that's how the shows used to be. You just got up on the stage and just played, right?
Yeah, that's how Robert does it.
Yeah.
There's no talking at King Crimson concerts, right? Have you ever heard of any talking? No.
Only before the show they played the pre-recorded, banter, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable. All right, so speaking of new stuff, Bert, you've mentioned that you're doing guitar lessons and you're full up on students. But if anyone is looking for lessons from Bert, he's posted on Facebook, so I would keep track of that if he has any openings. Bert, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I did forget to mention that since the first 6 months of the pandemic, I put all my energy in an album collaboration with Fabio Mitino, an album called Music of the Stars, with arrangements of piano music written by Thomas de Hartmann, a Russian composer, and that became this CD, Music of the Stars, which I'm really proud of. That came out in beginning September, end of August. So after that, things changed a little bit and settled, and I went more into teaching. But the first 6 months, I was only doing this.
And I love these releases. The Matino Lam CDs are excellent. They actually performed right here early on when they were doing house tours around the U.S. We had them play, and they played right there. And I still have friends who attended that show who brag about it, saying, "Oh, I saw this incredible, these two guitar players, from Europe," and they just talk a lot about how beautiful the music was. And I did release, I think it's about 12 minutes of footage from that show. So you can check out some of the music on the Make Weird Music YouTube channel. And then I highly recommend you go to matinolams.com. You can purchase the CD. All three, there's 3 of them, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, 3 CDs, and they're really wonderful, and they're too short. And that's not a complaint. It's more it's a compliment, because when it's over, I just want to play it again. So really wonderful music. Check out the work Bert and Fabio Matino have done. Hideo, I hear you're doing some work with the Japanese Guitar Circle. Can you talk a little about that?
Yes. Japanese Guitar Circle, which consists of the 3 people right now, and they're taking my a very difficult piece like a Fortune Island. They play it. It's not perfect, but they're pretty good, and so sometimes I meet with them, and they give us some tips, and but right now only a couple of times I could do it, but now with a kind of emergency status, so we can't meet. But it's really nice to have some circle with them while when I was here.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
great.
might have
Are you guys going to be? Are you preparing repertoire pieces for a performance, or what's the plan with your participation?
Well, what we're doing now is kind of a preparation for when we're going on the road to meet again.
He's
Oh,
asking
I'm sorry.
Hideo. He's asking Hideo about.
It's okay, no worries.
Oh, yes, some piece, yes, some circulation piece for them, and some other CGT repertoire I'm working on to present to them.
Excellent. Bert, go ahead and chime in. We'd love to hear what the three of you are planning to do as well.
Well, we're looking forward to the moment that we can play live music again. Everything will be probably different. We don't know how it's going to be yet, but we were planning on doing that. And I think what we're doing now with digging up these older shows and stuff, it kind of, for me, it's a bit of a preparation for that moment that we're going to go back and maybe present a set of the trio that's going to be radically different from what we've done before. And we haven't discussed it together, but I'm thinking about it a lot, especially our last album. We have not played many of that music. Our album Elegy, that was released in May, I believe, that we have not played much of that music live. So it'll be great to incorporate music in our set from that and create something that's going to be very exciting and new and different, the trio.
Yeah, I can't
our
wait to
next
hear you
tours.
guys play again. I think it's going to be a real treat. I hope you're planning some surprises too. I would imagine you're getting pretty excited and it's all welling up inside, you know. All right, so Paul, let's talk a little about the photos that your photo work. Why don't we talk about your photo work?
Yeah, I have always dabbled in photography since I was in the photojournalism class in high school, and I'm not a pro photographer like Tony, but I appreciate his work, and he's been a big inspiration to me. And so over the years, I've found myself in some really amazing places, and I've been able to get some really great shots. And master printmaker John Lybrook has been making prints of some of my photos, and they're really turning out great. And it's been a pleasure to work with John. John did the first California Guitar Trio website years ago, so we've remained in touch with him over the years, and he's a good friend. But just in the last few years, he's really excelled at this printmaking, and he does both color prints and also these intaglio style prints, which are done from metal engravings. And maybe one time we can get John to come on with us and talk more about that aspect of it, because he can explain it way better than me. But the prints are just stunning, and I'm very proud of them. And Tony is going to be releasing some prints with John sometime soon too.
Yeah, so I actually I got some in the mail. Thank you, Paul and John. And I made this little video just as a sort of sneak preview of what you could get. You can go purchase these prints today, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Great. So let's take a look at the video. Actually, I need to share my screen with you first so you can see it, and then you can add some commentary. One moment.
Yeah, while you're getting that ready, you can find the link to John's website on my Facebook page or on the CGT page. Yeah, there we go. So Intaglio Editions, the name of the prints, but the timelessprints.com is the website. You can see the exact link.
Yeah, so I received this package in the mail with this big portfolio. And I was like, what is this? And I had no idea these photos knew that you were a great photographer, but these are not photos. These are art. You know, this is beyond photos. You know, I take photos with my iPhone. You produce art with John, and these prints are just, they're so beautiful. Especially this one, the New York one, is on this wonderful paper with the rough edge. I'm sure there's a term for that that I don't know. But,
That's the Italian Intaglio style printing,
Okay.
done from the metal etchings, and it almost looks like three-dimensional.
Yeah, it really does. This desert sunrise or sunset that was taken here in Arizona.
Yes.
What about this one? The ocean.
This is in Pacific Beach, San Diego. Here, where I spent many summers in my father's condo, working in there.
Oh, cool. And
And
every
there's
one
the
of
color version.
Yep, every one of these photos comes with a certificate of authenticity that is autographed.
There's the print. There's the link right there.
Yep.
Timeless-prints.com.
Yep. So yeah, if you are, oh, let me change. Sorry. If you are looking to purchase some art in photographic form, just go to that timeless-prints.com website, and Paul's photos are on there. Tony, you'll soon have one on there.
Yes.
Excellent. And it's a great way for people to support Paul and the work that he does, especially since no one here has been able to tour for over a year. So anything we can do to support the band and the musicians that we love, let's do it. So hit the
Thank
website, take a look, timeless-prints.com.
Well, I know we're at our 1 hour point, but I wonder if we can take a few minutes to answer a few questions from the chat before we sign off.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be an hour. I just targeted 1 hour, and it's good to have some constraints because otherwise it's easy to go 2 hours. But yeah, if you have questions for the band, please, now is the time to throw them into chat. I know that I probably missed some because I was in the conversation, not looking at chat. So please ask some questions in the chat. And in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about how to support the California Guitar Trio now. I sort of went on my little soapbox a little bit, but just remember that when you stream music from Spotify or Pandora, as great as it is to support the band, that doesn't actually financially support them. So I want to encourage you to go to the cgtrio.com website, and there's a link to the Bandcamp page where you can support the bands directly. And Bandcamp is a great way to purchase music because you get unlimited streaming after you purchase the music. And you get to listen for free a few times, and then it'll say, hey, seems like you like this, you should pay for it. So it looks like you are doing a new Bandcamp release, which we did talk about, and it's pay what you wish or donate, which is awesome. And then there's a PayPal donation link if you'd like to donate to the band. They would very much appreciate it. I'm going to paste this link into the chat. Any commentary from the band on support, buying music, any of that stuff?
I just would like to say a huge thank you to the people who've already been donating and buying the live releases and the elegy release. Just today, this morning, we made that live at the Freight and Salvage go live on Bandcamp. And so all day I've been watching all of these emails come in from the Bandcamp purchases. And since it's pay what you wish, a few people pay $1, which is fine. That's totally fine. But there's some people who've been paying $10 and $20, and then along with that, I've been seeing donations come in from all over the country for even $100. I think one came in for $200 today.
Wow.
So that's a huge help to us, and we're very grateful and very thankful. So thank you so much for everybody who has been making an effort to buy the music and make the donations. It does help us. It goes straight into our PayPal account and into our bank account, and we divide it up amongst the three of us, and it helps Bert and Hideo and I pay our bills and get through this time where usually we make most of our money from playing live shows. So since that's gone away, we're finding other things we can do.
Yeah, excellent. So if you're in the chat, hit that PayPal link. Let's shock them with our generosity. I'm going to donate right after the stream myself. But yeah, let's support the CGT and help them get to year 35. Hopefully we'll all be able to see live music later this year. But we've got some questions coming in. Let's see. Octavio is asking, for Tony, which is your favorite song from the CGT to play and to listen to?
If you ask me what my favorite anything is, it's always the same. I'm not the kind of person I just don't go in that direction that I have favorites. I love all of their music. And when we're playing live, there are some tours I do where some songs are more fun, not the trio, but where some songs are more fun than others. And as a player, I know you didn't ask exactly about this, but as a player, I don't allow myself to have less than favorites. So I feel if some song it just isn't captivating me, then that it behooves me to put more effort into that part and make it have the potential to be a favorite. So I've been that way for so long, playing songs live, that I kind of censor myself from having anything less than favorite. And I try to be a fan of every piece that I'm playing. And in the case of the trio, I've heard a lot of their music through the years, and I'm sorry, but I don't have a favorite.
I love that answer. That's a wonderful answer. And it's always an opportunity. That's a great mentality, mindset for it. Paul Murray asks, who is on your list of collaborators you haven't gotten to work with yet? That's for the CGT.
Wow, that's a good question. Since we haven't been able to collaborate with others very easily lately, I think we haven't really been thinking about that so much. Is there anybody that you guys can think of right offhand? I know we've been able to play with a lot of really great musicians over the years, and I'm sure we'll do more of that in the future.
Well, in a way, our last album was a collaboration, but it was more of a collaboration with friends and composers and people that we met on the road over the years, not necessarily great or famous people or anything like that. We're just, it was people that we met, friends, guitar craft friends.
Yeah, there's the tracks. Yeah, with the tracks that we did with Steve Ball and the Tiny Orchestral Moments team that we recorded in Seattle, and they're on one of the tracks on Elegy album. So that was one of our most recent collaborations, and there's some really great players within that group.
And the Montreal Guitar Trio.
And the Montreal Guitar Trio, who've been more than 10 years collaborators, and we had a whole bunch of concerts that were canceled because of the pandemic that were with Montreal Guitar Trio, and hopefully those will be rescheduled. And we have such fun playing shows with them. They are completely crazy, and when we're on the road with them in the backstage, it's just like a circus. And it's always like that, and they're on stage, it's also like that, and even playing jokes on each other, and we enjoy playing with those guys, and they are such excellent classical guitar players. We learn a lot from playing with them.
But
if
also,
there is no pandemic,
go ahead.
If there's no pandemic, we in the moment right now we doing like a 4 weeks tour in the USA and Canada with Montreal Guitar Trio, right? I missed the live performance.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
And seeing you guys with the MG3 is like a party on stage. It's funny. I've recorded 2 of your shows, I believe, at the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix. And if you're in the Phoenix area, anyone, check out the Musical Instrument Museum for a live show and the museum. Unbelievable place. But yeah, the first show I filmed was just California Guitar Trio, and then the second show I filmed was with the Montreal Guitar Trio, and wow, it's like double or triple the energy. Pretty amazing when the 6 of you are on the stage playing together. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's see. I just had an audio glitch. I hope it didn't break anything on the stream. Let's see. In recent years, the band has been. This is from Mr. Pat Courtney. Perhaps you know him. In recent years, the band has been moving away from effects and playing more straight acoustic sets. Do you anticipate continuing like this or going in a different direction?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Bert. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the latest release that the release that we're doing today of the Freight and Salvage show is a good example of how we integrate the electric effects, but also integrate a more acoustic sound of the guitars, and that one is a perfect blend of our electric effects material and more acoustic pieces. And it gave me already, like I said before, it gave me ideas for maybe a future set list. You know, when we come back, we could combine more of the electric pieces with the acoustic pieces, because so far we've been going more and more to a pure acoustic sound, and we've been doing a lot of research on how to amplify the guitars in the best possible way in a live situation. We went all out on microphones and special DI boxes the last couple tours and all that. But I think there's also a way of integrating more of our electric effects, and I think we will go back to that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With
at
acoustic
home,
guitars.
Yes.
But,
Yep. Yeah. At home, I've been enjoying playing more and more with my effects. I like I have the Line 6 Helix, and I've been really enjoying working with that. So I think we've achieved a certain amount of acoustic purity on the last two recordings we did, and so I think now that as Bert mentioned, now maybe it's time to reincorporate some of that. And Patrick Courtney, I just have to say, he has been bringing his entire family to our concerts for maybe 15 years, and we have pictures with the three of us, with him and his daughters when they were just tiny, and now they're grown and married, and they still all come to our shows. And he and his family and his wife sends us cookies, and they are wonderful people. They're a great example of the people who maybe Robert might run away from, but they become our best friends.
That's wonderful. And thank you, Pat, for that kind of support for the band. It means a lot to me just to hear about fans who care so much about good music. So that's awesome. A couple of mentions of more music with Tom Griesgraber. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Tom Griesgraber.
Yes, Griesgraber. Let's see. Just so many people saying they can't wait to see you play live again. So really wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to paste that PayPal link back in the YouTube chat. Please click it. I'll also put it in the video description when we, after the stream is over. And then you should be able to just click it and send a donation. I'll also put a link to the Bandcamp page for the band, as well as Fabio Mattino's work with Bert Lams. Tony, thank you so much for joining us and for your support of the California Guitar Trio over all of these years.
Can I interrupt?
Of course.
Before we finish?
Yes.
I would like to, I've had this drink ready, taunting me through the whole stream. I would like to toast to the California with my Fernet Branca, a toast to your wonderful 30 years together, entertaining us all. May there be 30 more years.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll drink my iced tea to that. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining the stream. Again, I'd love it if you hit the subscribe button for Make Weird Music. We have a whole bunch of great new stuff coming up on the site. Andre Chumley, who's a good friend of the California Guitar Trio, he's hosting 2 shows. He's got a gear spotlight show. He just had Adam Holtzman on from Steven Wilson's band. And then he has a show called Confronting Creativity every other Friday night. The gear one is on the Wednesday nights between the Confronting Creativity shows. But we try to have 2 guests on each Confronting Creativity show. for some really interesting discussion. We had David Torn and Vernon Reed on. We had Pat Mastellato and Trey Gunn. We had Julie Slick and Beth Fleener. And we've
I
got
saw all of those. I watched all of them.
Weren't they cool? Great
Yes.
discussions.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then for the people who are still on the stream, there's a couple hundred of you. This is an unofficial announcement, but my book, Failure to Fracture, my 22-year journey in learning how to play Fracture, you can buy it. You can go to failuretofracture.com and purchase the book. It is incredible. I'm going to get the first physical copy in the next few days, and it's hitting the market. So it's pricey, just so you know, but it's because it's very hard to produce something like this, and it's a beautiful coffee table book, hardcover, 320 pages, full color. Every single page is a different layout. It's beautifully designed. You're going to love it. If you're into playing guitar, and if you've tried playing Fracture and you've wanted to jam a spike into your eye, this book will help you to understand why it took me 22 years to be able to almost play Fracture and to fail year after year after year, and then finally get Robert's encouragement to keep failing. So yeah, failuretofracture.com. Please go check out the site, and if you feel willing, purchase the book. And then we're also going to have some new merch, like this Make Weird Music hat, come into the market. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. Very excited about 2021. And thanks to the thousands of people who've subscribed in the last 3 weeks since we put up our Alex Lifeson interview, which has gotten about 600,000 views. So thank you so much for watching that. And I think I'm done blabbing. Congratulations to the California Guitar Trio. Thank you so much, Tony, for joining. And cheers to the band. Another round of applause. You can clap on your own in the chat. Thank you, CGT.
Thank you so much.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Kathy. And we look forward to seeing all of you at live shows again when we can get back out on the road and playing. We're really hopeful that can happen someday soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul, Hideo, Bert. Thanks so much. Kathy, thank you for joining.
Thank you,
too.
Anthony. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Kathy.
All right. Bye, everyone on the stream.
Thank you, everybody.